Welcome back. Losing a home, of course, can not only be a time of grief, it can be a time of stress. And there's quite a few people up in North County that are experiencing that right now. We're talking about the best ways to deal with stress on all levels after any tragedy. With me this morning is psychologist and former firefighter herself, Sarah Gilman. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You have a special place in your heart for firefighters and first responders, don't you?
I do.
Not necessarily limiting to those folks, because they obviously are dealing with something after something like this too, but those who lost their homes, those who even witnessed people losing their homes, are feeling some type of stress at this point.
Sure.
How do you know? How do you know? What are some of the signs that it's a little bit more than just the normal?
Well, nothing's been normal in the last week here in San Diego County, no matter where you live. So everyone's had some level of impact. It causes us to remember the last few fires in the last decade, and so it brings up a lot of memories. We're also on this sort of like the car, our foot's on the accelerator and the brake at the same time. We're not running at our usual speed. We're heightened with the news. We're heightened with, are we going to get to work? Is work shut down? Do I have to evacuate? What should I pack? Oh, my friend lives in that area. I wonder if they're okay. So none of this is normal.
Yeah, I mean, you even stress over other people going through tragedy, right?
Right, and what can I do? How can I help? Come this way, you know, you can come to my house, those kinds of things.
A bunch of responses here: physical response, emotional response, mental cognitive response, and behavioral response.
You might find yourself feeling a little more dehydrated because your system's running at what I like to call a little higher RPM, with that hypervigilant little stress going on, because these are normal reactions to abnormal events. We're not used to this. Even though we may have been through it before, we're in a heightened level of awareness and response, so it takes up more energy in the system.
You don't want to bottle it up either, do you? To talk to somebody, your spouse, your best friend, just somebody.
Yeah,
get
talking about it is like relieving the valve of the pressure. And drinking water, you know, the basics really become important at this time. Water, exercise, we're like a supercomputer. We're taking in all this data, and on situations like this, there's a lot of information coming in at one time. So we have to reboot.
But at the same time, you want to be careful with the stimulants that maybe you're used to taking, like the coffees, like antidepressants, those type of things, right?
Yeah, you want to be careful with anything that's dehydrating, alcohol, because we seek those things because we need to be stimulated because we're running on less sleep, or we want to be relaxed because we feel more stressed, so we might have some drinks, but they're very taxing to the system.
You mentioned the fires of 2003 and 2007. It's amazing how those pop back into your head, some of those memories.
We all remember where we were, what was going on, and it's good to tell the stories. It really is, with each other.
Sure. Communicate your feelings is something we're talking about. Don't keep it inside.
Yeah, and physical symptoms. Be aware. Our body's going to let us know when it's unusual. Can't get to sleep, can't stay asleep, dehydration, maybe a little more hungry or loss of appetite. Again, normal responses for the next 4 to 6 weeks. If your system doesn't feel like it's settling down into usual normal, then you probably need to seek some kind of help.
Now we're talking about the average Joe out there. Let's concentrate on those first responders and firefighters, because we're talking thousands of people right there alone, a group of people. How is it different for them?
Well, a lot of people say, oh, it's their job. Well, yes, it's their job, but they're still human beings that live in this area, have families that they're wondering if they need to be evacuated, so they have to make sure their families are protected while they're doing their job. They can't leave work. They can't make phone calls, and so the stress on them is certainly heightened. They have a great deal of training. However, it's exhausting as well. We want to look at traumatic stress as unusual, but it's an opportunity to build resilience in ourselves and with each other.
Do the first responders and firefighters have a good support system for this?
Well, it's the standard of care now to have peer support teams in each department, which almost everyone does at this point. And that's where peers are trained to support one another. Mental health professionals are brought in to teach and educate people on how to build resilience and handle stress. We know so much more today about stress isn't bad. It's what we do with it will build our resilience or begin to break us down slowly.
Okay, you mentioned the 4 to 6 week period. When do you know, or when should you seek help?
Well, you know what your normal is, and if you're having images or thoughts or can't sleep or changes that aren't what I call rebooting, getting back to your normal, you know, there are excellent counselors all over San Diego County. You can Google CaliforniaCounseling.com, and you can find a therapist. It may just be a few sessions, just to talk some things through, and evidence-based treatments like EMDR help to reboot the system quickly, and so you can get back to your normal.
Sarah Gilman, thank you very much for
Thank you.
expertise. We appreciate it. A proposal